Good morning, people. How is everybody doing today? Hopefully you're doing okay. Hopefully you're feeling ripe and ready for a good day in the market. I guess it's actually probably already been somewhat of a a decent day here. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. So we'll do the whole shindig. We'll run through some things. Hopefully you guys enjoy today. We'll be streaming pretty much this entire week, hanging out on the old YouTube. So that's always a little fun. But yeah, so market's in a buy signal. Cheers. Good morning, the robot and Randy. Good morning. Yep. So market's in a buy signal. Cheers to that. Thumbs up. Pretty much just pretty common. Happens every other week. So just means markets are up. There's even a gap up today. So if you're lucky, you get a gap and go and you get follow through. If not, then, you just get a pullback. Same old, same old. But what else we got? Let's see. It looks like the volatility index, well, that would happen on Friday. So volatility index is currently negative. So it also makes sense that we're in a buy signal. Good morning, Gio. Good morning, Steve and Jenny and Randy and the robot. Good morning, guys. Yeah, I'll bring it over, but I feel like I'm always just on repeat. It's always really the same thing, just reiterated a little differently. So let's flip this to the SPY. But we'll talk about all the fun stuff, MSTR and Bitcoin and alternative coins and all that good jazz. And actually, let me take this off for now because it's kind of like meh. It doesn't really work very well. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Yeah, so yeah, we've pretty much just, let's see, how many, what time was it? Since I mean, there's even one here. I mean, it's always a repeat, but yeah, let's see. So Tuesday, November 5th, right here, we were into a long signal. So again, right back here, Tuesday, November 5th was a long move, followed by some kind of chop. I'm really sure, some chop, and then into a sell move, which lasted a couple days, and then we just entered back into a buy move. I think that was Friday, Friday, and now we're back into a buy move with a gap up. So just for funsies, which things are always going to change because we still have 23 minutes until the open, but just for fun, if the market were to have more of a gap and go and follow through for the day, the markets are going to target about $602, give or take. So gap and go or continuation on the day of today's gap, you'll see markets around maybe like $602. Does that mean it's going to happen? I don't know. I have no idea. If it happens, awesome. I don't care if it does or doesn't happen. One way or the other, it's all good. But the gap and go targets do really suggest about 602 there. Or gap and pull back and then go in whatever fashion it really wants. It's fine by me. Something else we'll just kind of start going into is obviously some Bitcoin stuff. Because why not? So Bitcoin, it's come into not our full target, not our final target, but it has hit the +2 weekly standard deviation target. So I'll add this indicator back on because now it kind of makes sense. But well, here we go. So if we look at Bitcoin here, and you won't be able to tell right now, but yeah, you won't be able to tell right now because it's changed as it does week to week. But last week, this green line, this magical green line, that was all the way down at like 99,000, almost 100,000. So last week, the market on Bitcoin did come into the +2 weekly level, which a lot of times is going to hold some resistance and then create some pullbacks on Bitcoin. It's kind of ironic that as Bitcoin comes into the +2 weekly, which a lot of times holds a pullback or resistance. Jim Cramer is also live talking about, it's basically it's a winner to buy Bitcoin. So basically Inverse Jim has come online right as Bitcoin hits weekly +2 resistance. So arguably a little interesting, but nonetheless, Bitcoin did run up to about 100,000, hasn't breached 100,000. The futures have breached 100,000, but not the actual Bitcoin USD. Good morning, Magical. So yeah, when we get to the +2, a lot of times you can see some resistance. It's kind of already started having some resistance. I never expected that we were going to top at 100,000 or the +2. My assumption is we'll go to 115,000 to 130,000 at this point, probably 127,000. A lot of times that's followed after a +2 pullback, which arguably we're on right now. If we don't make it to 115, 110 to anywhere 130,000, I'll have to delete my Twitter account. So I guess if it happens, it happens. No big deal. But would like to not delete my Twitter account, then we do got to get to 110 to 130,000. So maybe if Michael Saylor wants to go buy a couple $1 billion more, that'll help. But we'll see. We might have to delete the Twitter. So we'll see. Time will tell. Side note: we never really expected a Bitcoin top until like into year 2025, which I mean, we're almost finished with November, so I guess one more month really isn't that far. But yeah, we're really expecting it was like October, November, well, anywhere from like August. I mean, it's kind of long, but we've had some projections that have been like anywhere from like August to like December of 2025 is when we would actually top, I think. So, yeah. Basically, I wasn't expecting a top on Bitcoin till like year 2025 and somewhere around like anywhere from like August till October. So that's all built off the back of previous market cycles. So if all of those continue to operate similar as they have, or if the Bitcoin market continues to operate similar as it has in the past, then we would just basically expect the bull market lasts until about like October of next year. The previous cycle, which we can talk about too. So if we look at the previous cycle here, you actually had more of like a double top scenario. So let's say that the cycle we're currently on lasts until like October or something like that. Then that the way I'm saying that won't even make sense, but pretty much put it this way, right? You have a top here, pull back, but the real top was here because that's what then ended up sending you into like a bear market. So it's like you had a pre-top, but then the real top. So this whole topping area on Bitcoin, the last market cycle was, let's just call it from here to here. So that was a total of 224 days it was topping, but it didn't top until here. So it's like, again, markets will always do what they want. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's like, in that regard, yeah, we could see, if the market wanted to do something similar to the last market cycle, it could top well before October of next year, right? It could, in that regard, and have like a false temporary top followed by a double top, etc. But bottom line, the projection, we're getting fairly close. So 1 second, let me do something here real quick. Live from Florida, easy in that house. Actually, no, I'm live from my home office here. So for whatever reason, somebody started letting my live streams work a couple months back. So 854. All right, so I just want to show you how close we're getting to. We're getting pretty close to where we might need the top. My projection was going to be right there. So my projections, and this is all just based off previous stuff. It could be entirely wrong, but you know. So my projection would be this. Okay. And let me change this to red settings. Style, border, background, red. All right, so that's it. So in terms of time, has nothing to do with price for the moment. But in terms of time, oh, you're on vacation. Gotcha. Yeah, so in terms of time, we may see Bitcoin to about here. So where I'm drawing this box, this is where I'd assume that Bitcoin would pretty much start to top out in. So we arguably have, where are we at? So let me see how many more days we would have left. Roughly, give or take. So we're 730 days in. So like another 100 days. So again, like, and we've topped at and honestly, we've topped at 735 days in from the market bottom cycle in the past. But that was also some earlier, more volatile moments for Bitcoins. I think it might not be as trustworthy, but ultimately, we are reaching, I would say, the back end on the timeline for when Bitcoin tops can happen. So you're further in on the bull run than you are from the starting point of it. Doesn't mean that it can't go much higher, but ultimately the timeline is, I think, coming to an end in that regard. With we do still potentially have, well, we're at 735, so 735 to 1035. My brain's calculating that would still be 300 something days. So we still have up to about like 320 days in this cycle. So we still have maybe a little less than like a full year for the Bitcoin cycle before we actually top. So do keep that in the back of your mind for those of you that actually care, which, 20 guys, it's the only 20 that matter, right? But so for those of you guys that are paying attention, we could very well see the Bitcoin market hold up, continue higher, and not have a serious top for another 320 days. That's built off the back of the previous couple cycles for Bitcoin. Where have I been? I've been in the same spot, literally this office and this chair, and my bed. Yeah, but still just hanging out, doing my thing. Again, we don't really stream a whole lot these days. It's kind of fallen off. Don't really know. We'll see. I just hanging out. Really, is about it. Just doing what I do. Run my rental properties. Do a little YouTube. Run a little private sessions. Manage the back office of our company, and that's just pretty much it. Make some YouTube videos here and there. Yeah. That note, I'm gonna go get a refill on coffee, and I will be right back. Don't you go anywhere or go somewhere. I can't control what you do. Sorry about that. I'm back. Hello. Hello, friends. Hello, everybody. Where is this guy? What's so far the news this morning? Actually, I forgot to check something. 1 second. Really nothing. Yeah, not a whole lot of pretty much no economic calendar stuff of importance today. So far the news this morning. Just some snippet headlines. Trump Commerce Secretary pick Howard Lutnick's fund owns 1.1 something billion. I don't care about that. How Tim Cook's strategy to win over Trump gave Apple a competitive edge. I don't really care about that. Donald Trump's win positive for financials, energy sector. That would make sense. That one does make sense. House committee leaders urge this. Just again, reading some news. I mean, I could say it to you guys, but again, it seems all pretty much pointless. Yeah. It's very rare that I read news that I think actually matters a whole lot. Why is this like that? That's stupid. And life could be much better. Thank you. Yeah, of course, Magical. Of course, brother. Now let's do target on SPY and QQQ. Yeah, again, kind of waiting till the open. Then we'll give the gap targets, things like that, and a couple other things. And so we'll pretty much wait till the open. I kind of did talk about it a little bit, but it's always going to be incorrect until the open, kind of. That's a couple of the things that I think, that work decently well enough to talk about, usually come around the open. So something else that's, again, worth talking about here this morning, or worth noting, is whoa, get over there. Oh, that's right. I guess since I'm streaming on YouTube, I could set up hotkeys this week and then just from chart to chart. That would make sense. Could do that. But anyways, yeah, let's get into this one right here. Come on, Thinkorswim. There you go, darling. So for those of you that know, this was last week. So last week when the market was pulling back, you'll see that the market was pulling back on the long bias move and long bias signal we got on the volatility index. So basically the volatility index went into an uptrend over the 50 SMA. Basically just pulled back, creating kind of like a bull flag pattern, whatever. Broke up once more after the uptrend start. And then was it Friday? Yeah, just Friday, we finally broke the volatility index back into a downtrend below the 50 SMA. And so we're getting some continuation this morning as well. So if I go into this chart here, and then I'll just throw it on like this, something like that. All right, so there's pretty much right here. So this breakdown on Friday. So again, VIX down into the open, breakdown, go down. That was the breakdown of the VIX into a downtrend there on Friday. So you've been seeing the market go up a little bit over the past couple days, right? A lot of that has to do with the fact that the SPY entered an uptrend and the VIX entered a downtrend. So you have confluence amongst those two markets where, again, you have an uptrend start on the market and you have an uptrend start on the VIX, or a downtrend start. So it's confirmation, right? So this arrow, not this one, but the one that's still on the screen. Yeah, so this arrow right here is pointing to the buy operation that started on the S&P like last week. And then, of course, you'll see that the volatility index went negative. So as the market gets positive, the VIX gets signaled negative, volatility falls off, and then, as you can see, markets go up. It's not always, hindsight 2020, if you may, right? Obviously, if the markets continue to go up, you'll see the VIX go down, obviously, right? Or if the market's going down, most of the time the VIX would be going up, right? Obviously. But those two obviously things happen once the market's in a buy signal or the VIX is in a sell signal, right? Confluence. So, anyways. And again, probably had some positive news over the past week. Again, I really don't pay too much attention to the news. But I'm assuming things, well, I guess I can't say they've been too positive, right? The talks of World War this and what have you is kind of negative, but that's neither here nor there because markets will do as they please in the meantime while that figures itself out. MSTR, been the talk of the town. That guy topped pretty much the day we said it would top. So that's still kind of interesting though. All right, so market is almost open here. We're getting pretty close to the open. Got about 3 minutes or so, or a little less till the open. Yeah, take this. Yeah, I was gonna say, so far right now, support catch up for the market on the SPY is priced around like 599.14 to arguably as low as 598.74. So as the market opens up a little bit, those prices will adjust. So essentially, pullback on the market for the SPY as opposed to just a breakout and kind of market run instantly. Most likely be looking at somewhere down closer to like 599.14 on the market for the time being. And we'll see. They don't always work, but full-blown gap and go with follow through on the market would be, somewhere into 602.44. So based off of today's overnight gap, you kind of have your 50% markers all the way down at 598, 597.65 with gap and go targets of 602.44. Pre-market levels that have been created would suggest pullbacks down into, again, like we said, 599.11 to 599.14 or so. So, one second, bring this up like this. So we're at 599.28 now, 599.26, 599.20s, etc. So market is pulling back. we're probably about to hit 599.15, 59. There's 599.14. All right, cheers. So again, what we're doing right now is pulling the market back to suspected pre-market levels. So levels that were created during the pre-market session, going back and attacking those first. All right, so we've done that. We still probably have even a little bit lower than 599.14. We might even need to get down to like 598.87 to 598.73. There's 598.80 something and some change. Cheers. All right. So as we come into this price point, we might see a little bit of a scalp pop long. It's kind of normal. Again, it's the over-under, so if there isn't a scalp long, then this is where the pre-market volume ends up washing itself out for a further drop. But a lot of times this is going to be the little pop long hesitation area. So we'll see. Right now, momentum is definitely on the sell side, but regardless. The market internals aren't super bearish right now on the market either, so pop long might actually work okay there. So 1 second, let's bring this into a 1 minute. All right, so you can see how we got the little pop long there. Again, it's not like it's huge or anything. But right now, as far as market internals go, the FANG names are doing okay. So you kind of see how that market bottomed there and popped long. Anyways, yeah, the FANG names are doing they're doing okay on the day. They're actually helping the market hold up, and they're actually helping this bounce right here. Thumbs up to that. All right, so you see how we created the pullback down to the 598.80s, 5 something, whatever I said a minute ago. And then I'm like, hey, this is where you can do a scalp long, maybe a pop long. Again, the market's always a funny thing because a lot of times really good entries are also the breakdown. So it's always like the key levels are always kind of like an over-under. So anyways, there you go. Cheers to that. Thumbs up. So again, the market internals on the FANG names are very positive right now. So that's helping the market perform and hold this kind of bottom area. There really isn't any negative market internals for the moment. Those can always change, but the NASDAQ 100, the S&P 500, the New York Stock Exchange issues, and the FANG, for the most part, are holding up and doing okay for the moment. So that doesn't make it easy to sell the market unless the market just has some random surprise, which usually there is no random surprise. There would be market internals showing weakness, which right now they're not. Yeah, cool. All right, let's check the SPX. Let's see if it's hit its gap target real quick. SPX is usually usually hits its gap target easier than SPY. So right now the gap long target for SPX is going to be 6,026. We'll see if it gets there. Kind of a big gap today. But anyways, yeah, the gap long target for continuation up and out for SPX is going to be 6,026.48. And that could be at any point throughout the day for that. It's just a matter of measuring the overnight gap. Looks like our friend Bitcoin selling down right now. So if the futures are at 97,000, then that's going to mean that Bitcoin's somewhere in the 96,000. No, not yet. Almost. Wow, that's weird. Huh. Maybe that's right. All right, so yeah, again, the market internals are doing okay. I'll bring those over real quick so you guys can see them real fast. Not that it's going to be like mind-blowing or anything. It's not even like you're going to, maybe make sense of it. But this is when I'm saying market internals, this is what I'm looking at here. So it's a multitude of, it's 6 different screens, S&P issues, NASDAQ 100 issues, NASDAQ issues, FANG names, New York Stock Exchange, and actually the bottom right is not correct. Hold on. It's supposed to be this one. But anyways, and volume of the market. Volume of the market is on the long side. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. It's a snapshot in real time of pretty much the entire market, and breadth and the momentum of everything all at once. So like I said, when we first kind of got on and we're looking at this, there really isn't any bearishness amongst the markets right now. If there were, they would be going down. They're not going down. Could that change? Of course it could change, but it's not happening right now. So until something like that changes, the market's performance is easier to the upside than it is the downside. Now, again, these things can change, and some days it trends better than others, and but so again, it's just a snapshot in real time of what the market looks like behind what you're seeing on a chart. All right, it's called the market internals. Cheers, bud. No problem. Sounds good. Glad I could help. That's really why that's the whole purpose of me actually being here, is hopefully that all the things I've learned over the years and can see when I'm looking at a screen can help you guys one way or the other. Whether it's a day trade, a swing trade, a no trade, just a hang out and drink your coffee trade. It's the whole point. Not gonna lie, the coffee that I got, it's 2 days old actually. It's a pot from 2 days ago, so I just warmed up some old coffee, but it's not gonna kill me. All right, so SPX hasn't gotten to its gap target. It's moving that direction. It's fairly close, not really, but any hooser. All right, so let's take a peek here at Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin kind of rolling over, selling off. Are we surprised? No, we're not surprised, because again, it did come into some resistance. Then you had Jim Cramer tell you to buy it, so we basically just got, it's actually kind of funny. I was going to say we got Grim Reapered, but you should just call it Jim Reapered. It's kind of funny that it rhymes that way. But yeah, we got Jim Reapered the other day, so, and I am kind of a superstitious person. So, anyways, but yeah, so we'll see. Again, this thing's going to take some time to develop. There's some levels and things that I'm watching to the downside and all this, but the reality is Bitcoin's had a nice run. We've come into about 100,000. That's the +2 weekly. It almost makes sense for Bitcoin to have some red day here, even pull back. I'm totally okay with it, even though I want just to keep going up, because if it doesn't, then I'll have to delete my Twitter account. But it is due for a little bit of a pullback. So that being said, all past cycles on Bitcoin, when it got to this level, have pulled back. So for me to not expect a pullback would be like not paying attention to what you've learned, you've seen. So it's like even though like you want it to keep going up, A, because then you make more money, and then B, you don't have to delete your Twitter account. But at the same time, it's like, it's the opposite. We know that it a lot of times pulls back here. So kind of have to be on the side of a little bit of a pullback here. then get rebought up, hopefully. Exactly, the Kramer curse, 100%. So, yeah. So again, like I said, if we pull back, it's totally normal, obviously, and so kind of expecting that. Real quick, too, I'll even show you here. This is the daily chart on Bitcoin. Again, you can see we're right at the +2 mark. So again, it's very common to have resistance at whole deviation marks. So not only did we hit the +2 weekly, we hit the +2 daily, which it's not like that's like a crazy, totally. It's kind of common that would happen. Hit both the daily and the weekly, like that. But but yeah. So let's check on SPX. All right. So SPX arguably still got some room up towards the Targito. Let's check on QQQ today. It should be moving pretty good. Yeah. Because again, the FANG names are moving really good. So let's bring this up, right? So now you're looking. This is a 1 minute chart, but I'll put it on a 1 minute just because there's only been 15 minutes of the trading day. But so look at QQQ, right? You can kind of see how nice that's moving, right? And then I will zoom in here on this little screen. Actually, I could do it like this. It might make it better for the moment, right? So you can see here QQQ moving pretty well in the day, right? You can see just below, these are the FANG names: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, Nvidia. A lot of the big players, major market cap players, moving really strong, right? So many of the underlying equities or underlying individual largest market cap stocks are having solid performance to the upside. As you can see, it's relating to the QQQ having solid performance to the upside, right? In the event the major market cap stocks, the underlying equities that really drive markets, were performing negatively, then we would not be seeing this, right? So, we could also, so like for example, right? Like when I look right here, and I look at the NASDAQ 100. So there's also the NASDAQ 100. You can see it's actually pretty much just like sideways flat. So this tells me that since the open, the NASDAQ 100, some of them are moving, some of them not. They're not doing anything crazy, right? They're not really overperforming this morning. What's kind of overperforming, you could say, are the FANG names. So to me, I would contribute a lot of this long bias move that we've seen from the open is built off the back of a lot of your FANG names, right? So that tells me that if at any point the FANG names start to give up, that's going to actually put in that can put a top on the market, whether it just be for like a short-term scalp to the downside. You see what I'm saying? If we look at the NASDAQ the entire NASDAQ here on the right? So if we look at the entire NASDAQ here, these have been pretty flat to kind of even rolling at the open. So this kind of tells me that whether it be the NASDAQ 100 or the entire NASDAQ, a lot of what's helping the market this morning is for sure those FANG names in large market cap players in the tech industry. All right. So this kind of like when I'm looking at this, I go, okay, so the NASDAQ 100's not really doing a whole lot since the open. The NASDAQ's not doing that much, and even here, look at the bottom right, this middle right are the S&P issues, right? So the SPY, SPX, the SPX issues, those aren't even really performing that great today either, right? It's been kind of an open, a little bit of a push to start, which helped the market initially, and now they're kind of rolling a bit. So this tells me there's a little bit of weakness kind of creeping in the market to a degree, but our major market cap players like the FANG, right? Our major market cap players are still very, very solid. So it's gonna be hard for the market to top or roll many times in this kind of situation unless your major market cap stocks start to do that as well. It's not always going to be a one-to-one or a perfect system, but right now what I would say is our FANG players are really leading the markets up this morning, leading the markets higher. If you're looking for a bearish top or anything like that, a lot of times you're going to need some weakness to start coming in on these FANG names to help those market indices like the QQQ or the SPY to have a more significant rollover, right? So that's kind of one way I would read that this morning. And now let's look at, and even here, look at the NYSE, right? So even the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange issues, right? These ones still kind of rolling down some, all right? But we know that between Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Nvidia, right? They have such a big market cap as a whole that if those are performing exceptionally well, they can hold markets higher. So anyways, that's kind of the way that I would see today's market so far since the open. So, yeah. We will, that's that. All right, let me bring that back up. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that little spiel and a half. Hope you learned something new there. Maybe. Bitcoin now down to 96,280. When we started the stream, well, not when we started, but kind of going into the open, it was around 97,000. So it's dropped about $800 per coin since about the open, which was about the same time we talked about, going into +2, and it makes sense to see it sell down. And so that's moving kind of as we would expect, I guess. You're starting to see a little bit of weakness there on the Qs as we're arguably and again, you can kind of see the SPY is rolling over, the Qs are starting to roll a little bit, and if you look at your market internals, what are they showing, right? So you can see that the S&P issues have been rolling over, NASDAQ issues have been rolling over, NASDAQ 100 flat, NYSE issues have been kind of rolling down a little bit. The only thing that hasn't really rolled down are your FANG names, right? So when we get some negative momentum here on these FANG names, that could very well send this market down a little bit further. So right there, we just got a little bit of negative momentum on the FANG names, where we go from positive to negative. So unless it's a fake negative cross there, this is where you could see a little bit more of a stretch to the downside with the Qs. We'll see. Again, like I said, if we zoom in here, again, everything's been positive all morning. We just got our first little negative cross there on these FANG names. So if there's at least some follow through on the FANG names with this bearish momentum, you might get a little bit more downside there with the Qs. But again, yep. All right, and so you can see here's your Qs right here. Just had one more candle print red. We've already been on 3 red 1 minutes. There's the new, well, not new, but there's that next candle. There's your second 2-minute candle. Little bit of red follow through there. Again, kind of built off some of these FANG names getting a little negative there. That's pretty much it. The Kramer curse. Where did I go? Ooh, look at the red roll there on the QQQ. Woo. Look at the dump on SPY. Woo. Again, this is kind of what we were, just as we were talking a little bit ago, as the markets are running up and then you start to see weakness in the market internals, okay? Once they finally kind of flip red on the FANG names, that's most likely where we can top and pull back the market, all right? So again, real quick, take a look at your market internals. What is the market telling you? It told us since the open, the NASDAQ 100 wasn't running. NASDAQ not running. SPY issues ran a little bit. Most of it was being built off the back of the FANG names, which were very strong. So if at any point that FANG momentum tapered off, you would most likely see a roll and a top on the market. And there you have it. So that's what you can kind of get a really, really nice idea for how the markets are moving as you're looking at all those market internals behind the scenes. Bitcoin now to 95,800. Weird. Why is it going down? Nvidia dumping since the open. Oh yeah, real quick. Oh yeah. Well, not oh yeah. Basically, everyone that got long that initial dip on the day to start, right? They're kind of at the over/under, so that's kind of dangerous right now again, because we could be slipping down and taking out all of the pre-market long traders now. So do be mindful. You could see some more bearishness here as we start to stop out some of the traders from pre-market. Wait, what? How did I get that wrong? Did SPX actually hit? It did. Oh, I'm a dummy. So I don't know what I did this morning on SPX, but I did something wrong, clearly. Yeah, SPX already hit its 161. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what I did this morning. Hold on. Why did I get that so wrong? Hold on. That doesn't make any sense. Hold on. Yeah, because that would be the open. No. No, it didn't. Never mind. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. We did get close though, but not quite. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna take a peek at some of this stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to figure out where we're gonna pull Bitcoin back to. I mean, honestly, it almost makes sense to go back and test some breakout stuff. So we might even see, as bad as it sounds, maybe even a pullback to 88,600 on Bitcoin. I mean, that's not the first stuff to pull back to, obviously, but based on the way this is moving, we should get our first back test of this breakout, I would imagine. So yeah, so I assume the pullback we're on right now is probably, I think it's going to at least take us down into about 94,000 to 93,000 kind of next. If we start going through that, that'd start opening the door to go and back test the most recent breakout that we had on Bitcoin, which would be maybe down around 88,000 to 87,000. Yep. Wait a second. The Kramer curse. Kramer curse. Excuse me, sorry. Also, if anyone's curious, our support for Bitcoin right now is about, and when I say support, I mean, we have support as low as like 42,000 right now. So, but that would basically mean Bitcoin has to go into a bear market to get that. But we still have projections of prices as low as $42,000, but that would most likely have to come in the event of like a bear market situation on Bitcoin. Is ZM pricing in good earnings today? I have no idea. I hardly ever watch earnings at this point. Hold on, give me a second. I think I could be forgetting something that might be kind of on deck for Bitcoin. Or not Bitcoin, but the market. So right now the SPY is, the market's still holding the pre-market low support levels. Not real pre-market low stuff, but volume weighted average prices of the pre-market. So in theory, the SPY hasn't broken down its key level today. Still on the long side of it, but again, pretty much the last low that was put in, 598.60, something around there. That's an important low, because that's where a lot of the volume is basically built from the pre-market. It's where they're all kind of located at. So if the market's going to have a steeper pullback today, you're going to have to take out the pre-market or the last low of day. So you're kind of fighting with it right now. Again, that low is where all of the volume is concentrated at from the pre-market today. Move this out here. Flip this over to the SPY. Yeah, so far, the momentum on, well, let's just double check. But yeah, I would say most things right now across the board, momentum-wise, are still on the bear side. I mean, NYSE, SPY, NASDAQ, I mean, they're all still have some red candles, haven't flipped momentum positive. Not that those couldn't change, but for the moment, those are still in kind of the sell side of things. Kind of bring that over again. You guys can see it real quick by a quick peek at the screen. Let me zoom in some. Nah, that doesn't really look that good. Let me just put it full screen maybe. But yeah, you can clearly see right since the open, we started on the long side a bit, then changed to bearish, right? So until that pretty much starts to change, we're going to just kind of see the market hang and kind of trade on the low side. Oh, that's kind of, well, does it look like that always? I don't know. What about full screen? Oh, I guess that full screen looks like that. Hold on. Yep. Thumbs up, guys. Yeah, let's bring this back over here to good old SPY. What's going on with Bitcoin? Why is everyone selling Bitcoin so much? I don't understand. that's interesting. A 1 minute gap there on the market. On the Qs. Bruh. Alrighty. Yep, looks like the longs have been able to continue holding their volume shelf from pre-market, so nice. Just no breakdowns there, just still holding. Some of the momentum has slowed on the downside for the market internals. We could be on the verge of a little bit of a momentum shift on the Qs. It might be a little too soon for that. We'll see. I'd say the momentum just got back to positive on the Qs by like one little tick. It's not arguably the strongest looking shift, so it could be a false one. Kind of looks false. Figures. Right there. Boom. So remember how like just about a second ago I'm like, it kind of looks false as far as a momentum shift, and then you get this beat red candle down. So again, gonna bring over these market internals. Again, a lot of times, not a lot of times, but just ultimately, like the market tried to get positive here on FANG momentum, but it just kind of looked false. So that's why we got this big beat red candle down too. So again, that's, anyways, but like we said, when momentum changes on the FANG names, a lot of times you'll get a change in direction on SPY and QQQ. But right now, market's too weak to do so. A volatility index, I mean, again, volatility index, I mean, theirs can be, until it really goes into like an uptrend next, it doesn't even really matter. Or until it at least attempts an uptrend, it's just a downside in market, which means it could literally bounce and change direction. But again, VIX is, and yeah, there's really nothing to say there. Until that gets back into a positive trend, then it doesn't really matter. Oh, by the way, the volume shelf on the SPY has finally been taken out, so I will bring that up. Where is it at? Right, way to go. So if we look at again, so if you look at where that yellow line's at in the chart, you see where 598.66 is at. That's the volume shelf of the longs from the pre-market session, right? So to start the day, we bounced it long, and then you back test, they hold, they break themselves down, right? So again, that first initial, hey guys, watch this for like a long scalp area. That's basically built off the idea that that first initial pullback to start today is the pullback down to support that's created from the pre-market, starts into the day, and then once the market gets weakness, comes down, fails support, and there they go. Longs are all stopped out. So again, you can even see the formation, right? So if you look at the formation of the market, right? That low level, basically was created going into the open. And that was created from the pre-market session. All right, so anyways, kind of interesting. Man, you guys are crushing the chat today. All right, so we're starting to get a little bit of a bounce here on the SPY. This is probably going to come, it's already pretty much made the retrace. I was going to say this retrace most likely comes back into the prices of 598.44 to 598.49. It's some 1 minute small stuff, but that would basically put everyone who just shorted on tilt. Thoughts on crude oil? I haven't looked at crude oil. I haven't looked at crude oil in so long. It's not necessarily the market I focus on the most, and that has a lot to do with, politics. But taking a quick glance, so what it rolled over, it's in the 70s. 4-hour daily. I really don't know enough about the crude oil market to sit here and probably talk to you about it. I do. Just looking at simple technical stuff, the long term's downtrending. So you'd want to see the long term get back to positive for positive movement. And this is basically all that I'm looking at right here is just this whole chart, all of these, just reading the trends amongst all of them. So we're going to see here that the weekly's down, the daily's kind of chopping. It would look like the cleanest operation was recently like a 2-hour long operation. You can kind of see here in this 2-hour time frame. Probably like, kind of like an inverse head and shoulders almost, right? You can kind of see how it was an inverse below. Oh, I don't want to do that. You can kind of see with the crude here on the 2-hour scale that we basically had what looks like an inverse head and shoulders. Then it gets back positive over the 2-hour trend, and they build a kind of a nice 2-hour long trade. So it kind of looks like the crude oil market was using something close to like a 2-hour time frame as a most recent operation for trading purposes. But aside from that, again, the weekly's down, the daily's chopping. So you basically want to see the weekly get back to positive for positive movement, things like that. One other second. Where is... Is it this one? Where's my other chart? Hold up. This guy. Hold on one second. Looking at some other stuff with crude oil. It's taking me a second. Also, there's that long pop back on SPY to basically track down the 1 minute levels that would basically piss off everyone who is short on the micro scale. That's interesting. I was gonna say even the standard deviation on crude oil. Oh, that's why. Duh. Because I can't. Yeah. It's not gonna work as well, is it? No. I was gonna look at some standard deviation stuff, but it's just not gonna work the way I want it to, I don't think. I mean, yeah, really all I could say right now is crude oil is definitely kind of downtrending some levels that are on the long term you'd want to see be back on the positive side for positive movement. And again, I don't pay enough attention to geopolitics to stay on top of that stuff. Dang, Bitcoin hit a low of 94,589. It's really not a surprise, obviously. All right, who's texting me? Be something good. Hold on one second, guys. I got a phone call coming in. I'll put you on the waiting screen, and I will be right back. Okay, we are back. Oh, sorry about that. Just reading some messages. I don't have a whole lot more for you guys. We've pretty much covered everything. That's kind of the way it feels, right? Also, side note, let's take a look at this. Okay. So let's look at SPX here. All right, so let's take SPX and we're going to do today's gap fib on it, right? So today's gap fib on SPX, pretty much here is the story. If the markets have a gap and they're going to gap and go, or gap, pull back, then go, again, you're basically targeting 1618, right? And if markets don't gap and go, right, then what else are they most likely going to do? They're going to go and retrace their golden pocket, which would be right here. So, you know, it's kind of stupid in a way because it's pretty much just saying if markets go up, they go up, and if markets go down, they go down. Obviously, right? Duh. But the moral of the story is when it comes to actually Fibonacci and the retraces or the targets of them, I mean, that's pretty much it. If you're going to, again, have a successful move, I don't want that to be that color. I'd rather it be that color. Again, if you're going to have a successful gap and go long, you're going 1618. If you fail the gap and go to 1618, again, a lot of times you're going to be coming back to the golden pocket. That's failure, pullback, right? So one could say that the two easiest price points to get to have been done. It would either be 161 or golden pocket, right? And yeah, I mean, could actually go like, well, 1 second. Let's bring this to like a 30-minute chart. Side note too, like today, you can see we almost got the 161. We were very close to it, but just shied it. But anyways, so like here, back here would be a day where a gap and go failed, but obviously it comes down to golden pocket. This selling operation on this day, this gap and go day worked, right? So you have your gap and go. Again, your first target would be down to 161. That day completed. We could go back to a lot of these days. So today's a day where we almost got the 161, but didn't, right? We could go back to pretty much all of these days. I mean, here's your gap up. This one obviously exceeded. I mean, heck, you could do all of these. Ready? So here's a gap down. You get 161. Here on this day, we had our gap up. You get 161. On this day, you gap up. You get 161. On this huge gap up day here, you get 161. Okay, 161. On this gap day here, you get 161. Okay, on that gap day, you get 161. Hell, even on this day, you probably get it too, which probably just ends up being the failure top. So on this day here, we get 161. Yeah, so again, a lot of days where you're going to get 161s and what have you. And then, of course, sometimes you're going to get no gap and go or no gap continuation, so on and so forth. And today's kind of one of those days where we kind of get real close to a 161 extension on SPX, not quite there, and then kind of fail to move. So just kind of is what it is. Do. Yeah. Thumbs up. So yeah, market's still in a buy signal. Just kind of having a red move today. Again, that buy signal started, is that Thursday of last week or is that Wednesday? So this started Wednesday, then to Thursday. Yeah, because that would have been Friday, yeah. So the buy signal's been active since about Wednesday, Thursday of last week, and is still functional. Still functional. Is there anything going crazy today? Why not look at some random penny stocks? It's always kind of fun. Let's see. List. Pre-market movers. BCOV. Meh. That's definitely been performing. Let's see. Hey, Bitcoin back up to 96,400. Let's go, baby. I think, yeah, pretty sure I covered it with you guys, but just in case. No, I definitely did this morning, but some of you guys may have missed it. Again, if we're going to at least repeat or rhyme similar to past cycles on Bitcoin, again, we don't really expect a top till like August to October of next year or something like that. Yeah, currently you're looking at right now pretty much the volume weighted average price from the high side of the market. So the initial top today and everything downside at anyone who's bearish, right? That is the top down intraday trend. So that's pretty much the key over under for the moment to keep the shorts from the high side of the day from getting blown out entirely. Kai Ken coin all the way, baby. Cousin of SHIB. Then rolling profits into BTC. So let's see, crude oil, because I still have it on the screen, is currently negative on 1 minute trend, 2 minute trend, 5 minute trend, 10 minute trend, 15, 20, 30, hourly, 2, 3. No, not quite. But it's negative on most things, at least in the short term. There's some 4 hours, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Just like some 4 hour and 6 hour stuff, 5 hour that still would have to flip negative. But almost every single time frame is bearish there on crude oil for the moment. Hopefully that vacuum isn't too loud for you guys. Side note too, or wait, no, that's not it. Apple's currently in a positive market, Nvidia's in a negative market, Microsoft still positive but selling. Google's in a negative market, Amazon's trying to maybe get back to positive or confirm down, don't really know. Meta's in a positive market, Berkshire's in a positive market, Eli just entered a long signal a few days ago, TSM's a negative, AVGO kind of even / negative. Tesla's positive, JP Morgan's positive, J&J's positive, Visa positive, Netflix negative, AMD positive. That's funny. AMD's holding positive while Tesla or Nvidia's getting cooked. Interesting. UPS positive, Honey positive, UNP positive, Procter & Gamble positive. Let's actually change this. That should be the 10-year, but whatever. Coca-Cola positive. Dow. That's interesting. The Dow's even positive. GLD entered a sell. I was gonna say the past couple buy and sell moves on GLD have been pretty good. Q's looking like filling the gap, but not sure about SPY. Yeah, maybe. I don't really know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Again, sometimes, I guess I don't really go on. I'm never really one to think about gap fills. I really almost never really think about going down to filling a gap, things like that for some reason. So funny. One day the streams just work again. Again, not a whole lot to say over here on my side. I wish I had more for you guys, but it only really takes a few seconds to read the market for the day, and then it usually kind of just done. As far as all the, I would say, important things to touch on. We'll bring this over real quick so you guys can see. Again, you can basically get a nice feel for the market here too. So market internals across the board for the market have again started up, then sold off, and now they've kind of slowed the momentum to the downside, and they're just kind of like, I don't want to call it mixed, but it's kind of mixed, right? You can see the NASDAQ FANG started up, then flattened out. NASDAQ 100 sideways to down, right? SPY up, then down. NYSE up, down, now sideways. NASDAQ up, down, up. So you're arguably slightly mixed. It's not like everything is just trending one direction solidly. So when you see that all of the market internals are arguably a little bit mixed, and now you kind of look at your chart and you've had, a push, a roll down, and then a push, and then you can kind of see how the movement makes sense. So far, this just isn't a day where the market internals and the immediate are suggesting just easy trend this way, easy trend that way. It's just not the case for the moment, which can always change. But generally speaking, when you're going to have a solid trend day, whether it be up or down, then all market internals are a lot of times working together really nicely. They don't have to be, but when you see things like that, it's easier to suspect or see solid movement. But yeah, I mean, like I said, so far it just little sideways action, nothing too crazy. I don't want to call it sideways action, but I almost have to figure out more to say on my stream, or else you guys are just going to get bored. It's funny, the older I get, the harder it is just to talk all day on stream, only because it just seems like there's not a whole lot to say. Well, I appreciate you and the kind words there, Mr. Spielman. Yeah, I guess we'll just reiterate on Bitcoin. Assuming that, we'll go into this a little. You know what? We'll do yeah, we'll touch on Bitcoin a little bit. I'm not doing any trades currently. Again, the most recent trade I had that was like on equity was some MSTR stuff. But I don't trade as much as I used to. That's for sure. Again, as I got older, I just couldn't trade as well as I used to. It's kind of weird. It's like when I was younger and more fearless, I traded better. And now as I gotten older with more responsibilities, I just don't trade as well as I used to, unfortunately. So now I just kind of do more of analysis and obviously just a lot of long-term stuff via rental properties and investing and so on and so forth. But like, for example, something like Bitcoin, right? Most of what I've found is like my good analysis and trades on it all are derived from a lot of long-term stuff. And that is debatable. Because long-term could also be like somewhat short-term, but like, for example, right, like the next big trade that I would put on with Bitcoin could be in like 2 years from now, right? So it's like, great. Which would also be a big trade on like MSTR or GBTC. or like the 2x leverage ETF on MSTR. So I am planning a big trade around that. But that could be like 2 years from now. So like the 1 second. I'm zooming in. It's taking quite a second. Yeah, I mean, arguably, again, we'll see. I don't know. But like one of the big trades I'm planning right now is probably like a couple years out, and it's going to be if Bitcoin cycles repeat, then I have what I believe to be a very good trade setup. But it's kind of a couple years out. Could be a couple years, 2 years or so. But that's a big trade I'm thinking about. But again, that could be a while, and it just depends. It really just depends, because like right now I have a really big load spot for Bitcoin or GBTC or MSTR, the 2 times leverage ETF on Bitcoin on the bottom of its next bear market cycle, but that could be 2 years out, and the price is going to continuously change until just kind of the day comes when it happens. So that's a big trade I keep thinking about. I've done very well at the last time around, so that's just kind of one of those things. To me, it seems like the patterns probably won't continue to repeat because it would just be too easy then. So we may, I don't know, we'll see. And with adoption, it's kind of the rumor and the talk, but that could still be wrong, right? It's kind of the concept of how much do I make per month? Not enough. Not enough. Again, that's why, again, like our private room stuff, most of it's managed and run by my business partner, Brandon. Again, like I pretty much hit my peak back in the day trading a couple years back and just never been able to get back on the horse the same. So I've slowed down on a lot of the short-term trades and pretty much handed that over to our business partner, Brandon, who... Dude's way too good. Dude's way too good. So I just do enjoy it like this. I just give analysis. Most of the people, again, I just can't nail the trades like I used to, unfortunately. So again, like I said, I've slowed a lot from that. Just do a little bit of long-term investing, some trades here and there, and then manage my rental properties. Again, for most people, trading is going to be a very, very hard thing to succeed at. And I had my moments, but again, just long term, it becomes a very hard thing to do every single day, day in and day out. So, yeah. Yeah, business partner Brandon, he's the one who runs our private side of chat these days, and kind of has lead role on the trading side. I mean, I couldn't even tell you. He might be, I don't know, I just kind of lose track. But I think his longest green streak was 135 days green, heck, maybe 200 days green. I don't know, I just kind of forget at this point. So, again, if you're looking for someone in that regard to guide you really nicely on intricacies of the intraday and the trading, mainly on futures, that's done in the private room via my business partner Brandon. Again, most of what I can teach is going to be just some long-term stuff, also some short-term stuff, but again, trading is always going to come down to really just you. I could teach you a million different strategies this way to Monday to Sunday, but at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to you clicking the button when things make sense, managing your emotions in your account. And then as I got older, it's just not something that I was able to do as well. So I don't know if I became more emotional or I've always been a slightly emotional person. But again, as I got older, it's just not as easy for me to do short-term trading and nail trades like I used to. So again, I kind of just slowed back, dialed back, and just do with what I'm comfortable these days. So yeah, I will tell you right now, there's a big trade I am planning, but that's gonna be maybe like 2 years out on Bitcoin, and that's if the cycles repeat. But I do have, I think, a way of planning the next market bottom for Bitcoin very, very well. So it's almost like if I'm lucky, the market cycles repeat at least once more for Bitcoin, because then I can set up a really nice trade across whether it be Bitcoin, MSTR, GBTC, the miners, the 2x leverage ETF, and deploy a decent amount of capital across all of those. So that is something I'm planning for, but I think it's a while out, or it might not even happen the way I think, just because with the adoption of Bitcoin and maybe some governments getting involved, that maybe changes the way it's been operating. We'll see. Time will tell. But I would imagine over the course of my life, we'll have at least a similar repeat of what we've seen in the past. Whether it be a little different, it should. I wish we could post pictures. Can we do that? No, we can't. I wish we could post pictures into the chat, but we're not allowed to do that. Yeah, so like for example, Brandon today knocked out $6,162.48 today on the market, and again, like that's what I'm saying, kid's insane. So how he is able to do it every single day, it kind of blows my mind. Then again, I used to have a lot of consistency back in the day, so it's like it's possible, but he's just he's on such an amazing hot streak. It's really an awesome thing to see, and then also have been a part of for so long. Oh yeah, I did want to talk about this real quick. So the BTC.D, so this is another thing you guys can keep track of. This is for your alternative coins or altcoins, whether it be Ethereum, Doge, Solana, any of those. So again, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. So naturally, when you see this start to roll over or move negatively, that's when you'll start to see a lot of your alternative coins start to perform a little bit better. So again, we've had a couple little red weeks here. So again, you can expect when you see that the alternative coins are going to start moving a little bit better and performing a little more strong, which again is exactly what you've seen, right? So if you take last week or so, you've gotten a couple I don't even call that a week, but a couple red weeks there. And you'll see here like Ethereum. All right, so you have Ethereum come on. Are you serious? I'm just being lame. I don't even understand how that happens. All right, so now you can see the past 2 weeks, right? We had a red week and then 2 solid green weeks with Ethereum. So Ethereum is starting to kind of pick up and move and so on and so forth. And you're seeing that across the board with a lot of your alternative cryptocurrencies and so on and so forth. Something else that I will talk about too regarding Bitcoin is, you know, just kind of it in general, which you can probably, there's tons of podcasts, so I'll just kind of give my own spin on it. So most of my learning on Bitcoin has always kind of come through a little bit of article here, maybe some Twitter posts here, just kind of slow rolling. Just kind of slow rolling my educational process into Bitcoin. But I would say my most or the deepest understanding I have of it has come when I started to ask the questions myself. So, this isn't to sell hopium or anything like that. Really just more about the actual technology and, kind of the ways that help me understand it. So one of the big moats everyone talks about with Bitcoin is that obviously it's secure, very hard to, let's call it hack, and really, take control over, right? So I started to ask the questions like, okay, so let's say I did want to attack Bitcoin. What would need to be done? What would I need? So in order to take 51% control or do an attack and take over 51% of the network to run an attack, and these, again, there's probably more to it than that, but just in general, to take over 51% control and do a 51% attack on Bitcoin, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like you'd need at least 1 million ASIC miners, or ANT miners or ASIC miners are the new ones, but ultimately you'd need a few $1 billion in computer equipment for the newest up-to-date mining machines. So you're going to need a few million of those. That was a few $1 billion in computers, and then you need the cooling power for all of them. And then in order to house that many computers all connected with the cooling systems, and then an IT staff on hand for if anything ever went wrong, etc., you're going to need massive infrastructure. So the footprint alone of such a let's call it factory, let's call it your mining factory or mining warehouse, to take over a 51% controlling stake in the Bitcoin network, it would be like multiple warehouses of like Tesla Gigafactory. So take Tesla's Gigafactory, then make a few of those. Like that's what you're going to need in order to do it. So massive footprint. So you couldn't even get away with that. So the warehouse and how big you would have, so much space you'd have to take up in order to facilitate such an attack. Your footprint alone is impossible to go unnoticed, whether it be by everyday civilians or even other governments for that matter, right? So the footprint you'll need to take over an attack on Bitcoin would be massive, for one. Number two, the amount of energy that it would take for essentially a single party to do such an attack and to run all the mining machines, you would need your own mini power plant now. The hash rate and the computing power that it's going to take to, again, facilitate such an attack, you would basically need your own mini power plant to power your entire warehouse or warehouses to facilitate such an attack. So between the amount of equipment you would need, the amount of space that you would need, the amount of staff that you would need, and the amount of energy that you would need, it's basically impossible. Not that it hasn't already been, but just in today's terms with the hash rate and the computing power you need to put it into a perspective that you would understand, take multiple Tesla gigafactories. That's what you would need in terms of space. And then you would need your own dedicated power plant just for your operation alone. And then with millions of mining machines all connected at once, you would need a staff to help manage it. So now there would be people involved. So for you to get away with actually doing such an attack or a hack, There's too many people involved. The word would get out. The footprint alone is too big. You can't go unnoticed by civilians and or by governments. And then the fact that other governments hold it and other governments mine it. And that being said, I think the only people currently powerful of doing such an attack they would have to be a government. So it did raise a question that I do think government could probably have some way of facilitating it. But even then, it would be very hard for them to do it, because now that you have other governments involved, whether it be mining, buying, holding, treasury reserves, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, now you're kind of screwing with other governments' money, and they're not going to like that. So if one government tried to get away with it, you'd also have the eyes of other governments on you while you're trying to pull it off, because now you're screwing with their money since it's become a global currency or global means of value. So very interesting in that regard. I think so that was one of the things that kind of helped bring it into perspective for me about just like what the network, how powerful and how strong and, you know, how secure it really is in that regard. So that was something that I thought was interesting, and you guys would probably like to know about. Crude oil still going down. Again, every market on crude oil is pretty much negative, aside from just a few, which are like some random hours, like 5-hour trends, things like that. All right, let's slip back in here to the SPY. Again, SPY still trading below today's current top volume weighted average price, which basically just means on the intra, bears have control of the market. And again, it's not really a big surprise there. Again, we've gone over the market internals. Again, the market internals aren't extremely bullish on the market, so one shouldn't really be assuming bullish for the markets right now. Let's check on our buddy old pal MSTR. What's going on here? Yeah, you can see here too with MSTR, obviously the other day it topped out, sold down, called that. So again, you had a big sell-off on MSTR, which, you know, figures. It ran into +3, +4, so we'll just add that real quick. So we're going to move this to the 1-year week. 1 second. Again, you can see here we had whoop, I won't do that. We've had MSTR run into the +3, +4 area. So basically that just means it's coming into resistance, into a topping area. So we do know that over the past, basically the past week, from last week to this week, that a bunch of people came in and shorted MSTR, whether it be on this top and or through this move. Okay, so ultimately Yeah, so ultimately, we got short volume, that fresh short volume that just came in on MSTR. So ultimately, over the next week or two or whatever, basically after Bitcoin goes through this pullback, in the event it gets bought up, runs to the higher price targets we have, it's very possible that you see shorts get squeezed out on MSTR. So again, assuming that we go through another move on Bitcoin, this is not the be-all, end-all top for Bitcoin right now, and it continues to press long bias, we'd assume that MSTR continues to appreciate in value, and then as a result of MSTR coming into technical overbought levels, that shorts entered short in this high top, which then means you have fresh new short volume that can be liquidated on the new push. All right, so we'll see how that all comes to fruition. That was always kind of my thoughts. We'll have a top on MSTR, basically where we did, and then we'll see that breakout in the future here, built off the back of the next Bitcoin move, which is going to be like 110 to 130,000. Again, Jim Reaper may have screwed us there, but we'll see. So that's how we're still kind of leaning on MSTR for the moment and Bitcoin. Real quick, I'll bring that up too for our friend Bitcoin. All right, so again, we really just me again projecting Bitcoin into basically here 114,000 to 127,000. So we'll just call it 115 to 130,000. So assuming Jim Cramer's words don't top the market, we'll have into 115,000 to 130,000 as far as prices go. That's what I've been basically projecting since, well, not since, but that's basically what I've been projecting since this bull leg started off. Because I needed to kind of wait until we started breaking out in this next leg to know how far this would calculate up. So again, we arguably have into 115,000 to 130,000 on our friend Bitcoin. Again, for those of you that are more interested in some live trading stuff, again, my partner Brandon does all of that. That's on our web page there. So again, he will handle more of that live trading interaction with you guys and pretty much crushes it every single day. So if that's exactly what you're looking for, again, there is a link to that site. And then, which again, I think most of you guys have already kind of operated and worked with us for so long, but if you do end up joining, there is a coupon code you can use here. Black Friday coupon code. Yep, that's accurate. So again, if you're more into the live trading stuff and want to see that all done live, and that's mainly handled by my partner Brandon there these days. And yeah, you can check it out. All right, and that is probably where we'll end today's stream, and then I'll probably be back online tomorrow. Well, I think I'm going to stream this entire week. I'll be back on tomorrow morning with you guys, so if you want to tune in tomorrow, same stuff, talk about how the market's most likely going to move for the day, And if you guys can capitalize on top of that, then awesome. And I'll catch you guys back tomorrow morning. Keep it safe and have fun.